Boom. Welcome to the Motley Croc Show. It is 8/29/2024, and it seems like I say that every single time, day after day, except the years change year after year, and we're still here. So backstage, as always, we have the Manic Satanic.
What's up, y'all?
And Britt Investigates.
Hey, Britt.
What's up, guys?
How we sounding? We're running live. I haven't seen anybody pop on yet. They hate us.
Let's see.
They hate us.
They hate us. We normally are like a minute or two, so maybe they're just like,
hey, what's up, Michelle? How are you?
Hey, Michelle.
Hey, Michelle.
So I'm hoping we all sound pretty decent.
It sounds good on my end.
What do you got? Thank you. Great. Yeah. So Brittany, I broke out my old heavies. I was telling Jeff
see them
a little early. These are heavies. Like these are just for, I bought them to like travel or get on the airplane or any of that type of stuff. And I'm like, you know what? There's a wire on the side. I wonder if I can run it as studio headphones. And then I start reading it and you can.
Awesome.
So it's got this thing they call hell blocker or whatever. And that means like the background noise is a voice eliminated. So I can talk to you guys through the Yeti mic and finally no more of the crap, Good, Michelle. That's really cool. No more surgeries.
Oh, that's great.
So what you got on your shirt there, Jeff?
Just a little hardcore hog nose stuff.
I love it. 100% het metal.
Yeah, 100% het metal. I got one of these for you somewhere.
I'll sport it. I'm doing a little White Lion.
Nice.
That's cool.
The album Pride. Yeah, I broke out. Normally I don't wear white, but I was a big fan of White Lion in the old days. So, I mean,
I was just going to say that. I was like, wait a minute, it was white tonight.
It's a White Lion.
New.
It's from the Pride album. So the Pride album was, I really like Big Game, but the Pride album, there was one before it called Fight to Survive, and that was the very first White Lion album release, and it was really early 80s. And then in the mid 80s, and they came out with Pride, and then Big Game, and then Main Attraction. Those are like the main albums. Main Attraction was really, really produced well. So if you understand music, when I say it's produced well, I mean the sound and everything was perfect. If you listen to their first album, they sound like a bunch of teenagers in the garage. But I do like raw metal like that too, just because I like the sound of instruments. There's something organic. It's like being able to write instead of type, or lift something up instead of having someone else do it for you, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But what's up, David? With that being said, I decided to do it, and you always wear crazy stuff, Jeff. So I figured I'd do some homage to some metal shirts, and bring back the old White Lion. And I recommend anybody listening to the Pride album. It's actually really good. The song "Wait" is really good.
Yep, "Wait" is a great song. That's what I think of when I think of White Lion.
My favorite song on that album, Jeff, believe it or not, is "Tell Me."
Another good song. Good record.
I know, Dan. Isn't that funny? Yeah. So that When the Children Cry is on there, "The Lady of the Valley." There's some really good music on there, and Mike Tramp was a great lead singer.
Ballads.
Yeah, I think wasn't it on Big Game that they did Radar Love remake from Golden Earring?
I know they did it. I don't remember which one.
Because I think it came out. I don't think it was on the Main Attraction album. We'll have to check that out before we get into Brittany's weird animal things that she's been finding. The human fish. I'm kind of curious about that.
He's fun, right?
I thought that was cool. Yeah, I think that's great.
That was neat.
Now I have now.
Weird shit.
Oh, cool. Thank you, David. David's here, and he said, "Yeah, that's cool, man." Daniel said to check out my text. I will, Daniel. Let me get into that. I have a couple things I want to announce too midway into the show. First of all, let me do this real quick, and I'll tell you, Brittany, are you? And I'm going to ask you on the air to put you on the spot.
On the spot, okay.
On Friday the 13th, from say like 2 o'clock to 6 or 7 o'clock, are you available to go somewhere with me?
What day is that? Are we
Friday? Friday the 13th of September. Friday the 13th.
Of September. Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
I don't think I have anything going on that day.
Well, I would like to have you meet me. So Friday the 13th, the Vintage Tattoo Shop. Okay. September 13th, which is Friday the 13th. They have a bunch of they have a bunch of prizes going on. Our thing, $31 line work, $131 colors, pre-sale. There's all kinds of stuff going on. You can win a free tattoo, and that's at the Vintage Tattoo Shop. Now, Tom and Bree, they own the place. That they also own the Revenant Tattoo, and they're going to be doing work on me on Tuesday. So we get a tattoo there. But on the 13th, we're going to take some animals and go down there.
Nice.
If you want to come down to and hang out, Jeff, I know it's a far drive, but you're welcome.
Where's it at?
It's going to be, I think, I want to get the exact. It is on Orangewood Boulevard in Orlando.
Oh, okay.
So guys, 10:30. I'm gonna run the ad too. I'm gonna run it on my stories. I'm gonna definitely do. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna send this to you right now, Jeff and Brittany.
Oh,
Let me move that to you
Send it
guys
to
right
me.
now.
let me see if I'm working. I'm checking right now.
Well, I'm sending it to you, and here it comes to you, Bumblebee. And I want to make sure that you guys want to come out. We're going to be out there, so I'm going to be out there with Dan the Man. We all know who Dan the Man is.
Yeah, Dan the Man.
The original Monkey and the Frog.
No, let's not bring that back.
Oh, we're doing Frog and Monkey,
but we won't do that.
For the sake of my sanity.
Yeah, I'm gonna get my first one here, David, on this arm, on my left arm, because it's so plain, you know. They scare me too. But what I was going to say was, if you guys come out and see us, we're going to hang out there with some animals. I'm going to be bringing Leonard out there, so I'll have the owl with us, and Daniel has a couple long snake moans. We got some albino animals coming. We'll definitely take out some of the alligators. We have some albino snakes and stuff. We have some really cool stuff to take out there. So if you come out, Brittany, and just do a meet and greet with them, I'd like to introduce you to them. Tom and Bree are great people. Bree does all the work with she has the laser tattoo removal or blemish removal or skin stuff that she has in the studio right next door. So if you don't like the work Tom does, she can erase it with her laser.
Start over. All this, maybe, man. You know.
Start over. I've seen them working on some stuff in there, Jeff, and I think it's absolutely.
It's awesome.
It's absolutely insane. So yeah, I think it's going to be really cool. And yeah, so if you guys can come out there, it's going to be Friday the 13th, which is September 13th. That's next week. So I'm going to go down there on the 6th, Brittany.
Probably gonna be
they live out in Sorrento, which is a nice area. They got a little piece of property out there, which is really pretty. And they have their shops. They have two shops. They have the Revenant, and then they have the Heritage Tattoo, and they're beautiful places. I will send you their links. So Tom does a lot of patchwork. What I mean by that is he makes the tattoos look like a patch. So when you look at it, it looks like a patch or threads coming off of a jacket or when he's really, really talented with it. So I can send that stuff over to you guys too, and I want you to check it out. But yeah, we're going to be out there again, September 13th. If you could come, Brittany, I'd like you to at least meet me there and hang out for maybe an hour or two, meet them, say hi to everybody. Bree and them, they're really big into cryptozoology and Bigfoots and paranormal. Their whole studio, The Revenant, is just dark. Everything is black with the old Gothic wallpaper. It's like going into the old vampire. They did a great job. Great people. So
that's awesome.
We're definitely going to be there. So they asked me to come out there, so I'm going to do that, and I'm definitely going to go out and bring the animals there too. But I'll be there Tuesday, getting some ink work, and I'll definitely post it. I am doing it finally, Jeff. I am going to get the alligator with the Cupid doll in his mouth, and it's going to say Disney 2016. I'm going to put it right on my calf so I can wear shorts to Disney World and stand up for the alligators.
God.
You know, let me be clear on the show in case,
gators, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. Would you comment on the sick apes at Jacksonville Zoo?
I'm looking at that right now.
What I comment on the sick apes at Jacksonville Zoo? I'm not really sure I know what's going on with the sick apes. Let me get some information on that before I comment on it, because I'm not really sure. Thank you for sending that. I appreciate that, Mary. Look that up too, Jeff.
It's Shigella.
What is it? What happened?
Shigella virus.
Why don't you touch on that?
It's a virus that humans get as well. It can be pretty dangerous with people who are immunocompromised or really young, really old. I mean, it depends. I don't know how it affects apes specifically, but it's a pretty common human virus as well.
If Justin pops in, thank you, Michelle. Thank you. If Justin pops in, he'll probably, he does he's a very good keeper when it comes to primates. I'll see what he has to say about that, and if he knows much about that, I'm sure he does. I'll definitely ask him. But I appreciate that, Mary. Thanks for bringing that in. But yeah, so I'm going to get the little alligator, and I'm saying it because before everybody freaks out, and I think they're really cool for doing it, because we talked about today, and they're like, we'll probably catch some flack because it was a child lost his life. But I want to reiterate this: a child lost his life, even if the alligator grabbed the child and pulled the child in the water and killed the baby, which is not what happened. That's the funny thing. But if it did do that, it is not the alligator's fault. It is the parent's fault for taking a 3 or 4-year-old child, not just to the water's edge, where the father is nutsack deep and the baby is up to their face like this, swimming in the water, to an animal that sits on top of the water and then profiles its prey. That's your fault. You're a stupid parent. It has nothing to do with that. Now, I remember they called some of us, and we got to see some of the photographs of the child, very small child. There were some scratches on the legs. I know Flavio had something. I know he saw it and had some stuff to do with it. A couple people actually in the alligator crocodile world, and then the father was talking on when his statement said, from what I'm recollecting, I'm not going to say it was 100%, but this is what I remember, that he couldn't tell if the alligator was between 4 feet or 8 feet. The child was 2 years old. I think Michelle was saying between 4 feet or 8 feet. Now we looked at the baby, there's 2 pictures of it rolled over and stuff. And on the calf of the child, you see some scratches. So what I think happened was the alligator profile to come up underneath, grabbed it and realized it was not what it should have had in its mouth. Now, the child was small. Had that been an 8-foot alligator, it would have been the entire child's body. I mean, I don't know how familiar people are here with 8-foot alligators, but a 2-year-old in an 8-foot alligator's mouth does not leave scratches on the leg. So when the alligator grabbed it, and what's up, beginners? When the alligator grabbed it, and I'm saying it because I don't know if it was a boy or girl, so let me say the child then. When the alligator grabbed the child, which was unfortunate, but that's his ticket. Like we're all, and it was really crazy, Michelle, because it had some scratches on the rear of the leg, and they couldn't really find a whole bunch. And I'm trying to remember the whole story, but the father walked the person out into the child out into the water, and I think that's where you screwed up. And then they went out and they really killed a lot of alligators, and I think that was really unnecessary. Because we clearly know, if you look at the autopsy report, rather it was grabbed in the head. Michelle said, I don't remember seeing that, Michelle. Thank you for putting that up, because I didn't have that, but thank you for having that on hand. When they showed that, you would clearly know that it wasn't a little gator. It wasn't like a little 4-foot or a little 2-foot. They killed them all. Now, I remember riding the monorail and getting to go out there. And when I was a little kid, my favorite part of going to Disney was looking for alligators in the water riding the haunted mansion ride, for sure. Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, and looking for alligators in the water out there as I'm riding the monorail. And so my homage to that is, Disney 2016, all I remember of 2016 at Disney is a child getting popped by a gator. And I think that's where we're at with it. And I think that I'm going to do the tattoo. And if somebody has an issue with it, oh, well, it has nothing to do with that, but somebody has to stand up.
I had problems with it, not for the sake of the alligator or the child. My beef was with the parent. Like, I've seen videos, which we all have, of older gentlemen who their gators that were clearly snatching their dog, and the gators were like good 6 feet long, grabbing little chihuahuas. These older men are like rushing into the lake to get their little dog back, right? Their little dog,
I remember one. I think one was like 3.5, 4 feet. I remember that.
Yeah, I'm saying, but you can see in the video, they're like decent size. Yeah, decent size gator. And it didn't matter if they got an arm ripped off, they were saving their pet. And here's a dad who, if you can't identify if it's 2 feet or 4 feet or 6 feet or 8 feet, who gives a crap at that point? Like, if this animal has your child by the leg and you know that your 2-year-old can't swim.
Or the head,
whichever part of the body.
Let's just say what the report here. Let's go by what this report says, right? Like, I don't remember seeing that, so I'm glad she found that. So here's the deal. It was 2016. That was a long time ago. But what would you do, Brittany? Like, that's it, right? You're there.
Let's see. Story.
The child was grabbed by his head, getting a little bit of water for his bucket, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which he took the child
head and shoulders.
Yeah. There were other witness reports that said he was in the water. So it grabs the kid. Then what do you do?
I'm going in.
I'm beating the crap out of that.
I'm going in, and if that gator gets me, oh well, I'm going to do everything I can, because instinct normally is fight or flight, and for me, I'm a fighter. So if that's my baby in that animal's mouth, I don't care if it's a lion, I don't care if it's a gorilla, I don't care if it's a chimpanzee, and those bastards are way worse than a crocodile or an alligator. I'm going to go save my child. So the fact that the eyewitnesses saw him running away from the water, screaming for help, or whatever he claimed that he was screaming for. No, you should have been yelling and screaming for help while you were getting into that water and trying to save your child. Like, that's my personal opinion.
So here's the other story. I'm going to read this to you about that.
That's just my opinion.
So the boy's family was at a movie night outdoors at the Grand Floridian Resort around 9 p.m. The boy waded out into the water into about 1.5 foot of water. It's pretty deep for a 2-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
In the lagoon. Authorities have other witnesses and witness accounts, including the boy's horrified parents. They said they tried to save him. His father said, I jumped in and tried to pry the gator's giant mouth off my child. Did you really?
No, because there were
He should have
other
been
eyewitnesses
wrapped
said
around
he
that
didn't even do
alligator
it.
in a foot of water. He should have been wrapped around. I know that. He should have been wrapped around that alligator. I don't care if it was crunching down, dragging that fucker out, not quitting. So to me, and don't give me well, he's probably from Ohio and he was not used to it. They only have blue jays.
Doesn't matter.
I've talked to a lot of parents about it, especially the father who's going to tattoo me. And he said, I would fucking run on top of the water to get to my kid if I had to. I don't care if it was a full-size crocodile and I'm going to die. I'm dying with my kid. And I think that has a lot to do. I agree. The dad was full of shit. So as a pathetic ass father, correct. So what I want to say about that is, again, it's not the alligator's fault, but here we go again, blaming an animal for a human fault. Right. So,
and we're going to take out you have children.
I know
Jeff
alligator would jump in no matter what, even if there was 100 of them going, he's going in.
Hell yeah.
Because he's a fucking father. I would do it for my dog. So I can only imagine what somebody would do it for their child, or, I would jump in for any one of my family, even my niece and nephew. I'm not quitting. I will get Finn out if I can.
First, I wouldn't let my kid wade into the water in the dark.
Black water at 9 p.m.
Yeah, no. That's, after I've lived here for 4 seconds, I knew that.
Not attacked.
And, I couldn't imagine something grabbing my kid and what's somebody else going to do?
That's right, Michelle. See what I mean?
Help? As soon as that kid gets that alligator down to the bottom of that lake or in the deeper water, that kid's lost.
He was found. If you read the article, Michelle will probably pull it up too. If you read the article, he was found 15 feet from the shore.
Yep.
In 6 or 6.5 foot of water or something, I believe. So he wasn't even that deep when he got pulled out. 15 feet. That's like the length of my studio.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
An 8-foot alligator on a 2-year-old child's head. There's the father. I don't even
crack like a walnut.
But just imagine you're sitting up on the beach and your child wades out into the water. An 8-foot. I know how alligators go, right? I know what they do. They grab and they retract. I'm just telling you. Grabs a child all the way around his head and retracts. You think the father got there in time to try to pry that off? No, fucking, that didn't happen.
No.
And he was supposedly, like she said, then he was attacked by a second gator. So,
I don't think we'll ever.
So Disney, 2016,
we'll never know the truth.
Doll
we'll
never
never
know the alligator's
truth.
Mouth cartoon style is going to be fucking funny to me, man.
Maybe
Florida doesn't suck beginners. It was a fucking tourist from Louisiana. It wasn't even a Floridian. He was like from Louisiana or somewhere up in northern. So he should have.
Where they have alligators.
Anybody who gets hurt, it was a tourist. I think I could be wrong. Michelle will probably find it. I have to pull the article up, but he was a tourist. But
as far as I knew, he was a tourist. He wasn't from here visiting.
Yeah, he would.
Yeah, the kid was found intact the next
day.
An
8-foot alligator would not leave an intact child like that. Sorry.
No, not if there.
And you would have major wounds on the head and neck if it grabbed it by its head and its neck.
I mean, what's the bite force?
That's right, Nebraska. That's right, Nebraska. You're right, Dan. Say that again, Jeff. I talked over.
What's the bite force on a full-grown 8-foot alligator? I mean, it's got to be tremendous.
Yeah, well, you're anywhere from 5 to 700-800 pounds per square inch.
Right, so it's enough to crush a human skull.
Yeah. I could see a 2-year-old getting bit by a 5 or 6 foot gator and grabbing onto their head and backing up with them, because Brittany's daughter's 3. I think it would probably take a 10-foot gator to get her, but so I think she would just straight beat the shit out of a fucking.
I was gonna say, how many 10-foot gators would it need to
I
fight?
could see Bimini is such a beast, bro.
Bring all his friends.
I could see Bimini getting so scared, just standing up and running with an alligator attached to her head up there,
swinging it around.
But like, get up and do it. But
she's MMA right there. I'll tell you, my daughter is true MMA. I am not gonna lie. Hey, Sean.
Yeah, Nebraska.
What's up, Sean?
Like that. They.
But it doesn't matter. It's still fight or flight for your kid.
Instinct. It's absolute instinct to try to save your kid no matter what. I don't care if it's a black bear, an alligator, a fucking Burmese python, or a human being. Either way, I'm going in.
Yep.
And I'm not stopping until I'm dead or that gator's dead. Or my kid.
Michelle probably has the article, but there were some problems. The guy's story didn't match at the time. Some of the other witnesses said it was different. But at the end of the day, one kid died. Okay. That's sad. Why? Because he's a person. Don't take me as heartless, but we kill shit every day. People kill people across the world every day. We could just go get in our car and get shot. I mean, come on. So child, adult, whatever. But unfortunately, innocent alligators got killed living in their area.
Yeah.
Okay, Michelle, I got you.
Yeah, you move into an alligator's backyard and you try to claim it as your own. It just does not jive with me at all.
Yep. You're
And
never
there
going
were
to hear.
signs, Judy. You're right. There's signs everywhere. Don't swim with the alligators and don't molest the alligators. I see those.
Yeah, they said. I think the argument was there wasn't any signs there, but I just disagree with that. It
There's
says
always been
snakes
signs.
and alligators in the area. Whatever. You're not supposed to be in there.
And raccoons. Like it's all on
And he
one.
wasn't. I don't think he was in the part of water.
compilation.
What's up, Michael? I don't think he was in.
Hey,
I
Michael.
don't think he was in the part where they were supposed to be swimming either, because they have that area barricaded off so nothing can come in or out of there. Not even turtles. Maybe little fish can come in. But there was a sign that said no swimming. Yeah. So to let your child go into the lake at night, knowing that there's a possibility. I mean, alligators are coming in there.
I just ordered that from Temu.
Yeah.
Actually, that's going in the office. I saw it there, and it's coming. Also with a cool new neon for behind me. Once I get the walls all set up. So
killer. I like neons.
Oh yeah. It was you were the inspiration. I saw it on Temu and I grabbed it.
Killer, bro. I can't wait till you put it up.
Oh, dude, it's pretty awesome.
I can't wait.
That's cool.
I'm excited to see. And I'm waiting to, because I think that I know people are going to give me a hard time. And after talking to him today about doing, he's like, I'm sure people are going to give me shit, but I don't care. I'm going to do it anyways. You're doing something for the animals. And that takes a lot. So I really respect that.
Yeah.
Because I said, if you don't want me to advertise it, that you did it, I won't talk about it. He said, absolutely not, man. It's my leg. I can do whatever I want. But, everybody's going to have a problem. But you know what? These alligators were innocent too, man. Father of the Year, Darwin Award, Disney 2016.
That was definitely a Darwin.
I mean, I might even have Father of the Year tattooed over it. Who the fuck knows, man?
Right. Just do a couple of those like runaway lines, like the coming from the back of it.
Well, I just want to say this, man.
Oh my God.
Dogs kill more kids than alligators do.
Absolutely.
So, people shaking their babies to death kill them more.
Way worse.
Crackhead idiots. A really good friend of mine, his mother was killed last week because a crackhead stole a car, or a junkie stole a car, took off doing 75 in a 35, hit the railroad track, went straight up into the air and then hit them head on and killed his mother.
Oh my God.
And he's up there now handling that. And that bothered me, man. I felt really bad for him because his mom was fucking awesome, and what a terrible way to have to go out,
Yeah.
Oh my
so we won't get into a
God.
whole bunch of that, but I'm just telling you, it was sad. And I think that's because people do more killing than animals do. So every time I get this, oh my God, I can't believe you're going to do that, and put if you see the tattoo, it's not like I had this young, realistic looking child being slaughtered by a gator. It's a Cupid doll smiling. It's kind of like the old Florida suntan where the gator's pulling, or the dog's pulling little girl's underwear back, and you can kind of see like the tan line,
Just
the
get that with the gator would be kind of funny.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? And I think, because there is one with the gator pulling the little girl's bikini, you see a little tan line like they're running. So it's kind of done like that. And I think it's going to be.
I got to let the dog out. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
They might, Michael. I don't know. That's a good question. Michael said, I thought that the lakes are on Disney property had dangerous bacteria, and they might.
I remember when I was a kid, I believe, and Judy's probably watching, but I want to say it was either the 80s or early 90s when somebody jumped in there and died because of the bacteria, I think, in one of the pools in the center. Not the big lakes though, Michael, that's all around the actual resort itself, but some of the inside concreted extra algae kind of lakes.
Aren't those like stagnant? That's why, right? So the bacteria can grow because they don't have any current flow in it. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Beginners, what do you? I don't know what I'm trying to figure out what you're asking. Promote me, or are we just vibe, pick up, whatever? I guess I'm a little out of it. I'm trying to figure out what you're saying. Promote me as far as what?
You could be the boss of bosses.
Yeah. Or I could just we'll promote Jeff. He's the manic satanic. He's manic.
There you go.
He's always manic.
This will quiet down my dog for 20 minutes.
Hey, that's fine.
By the way, Disney's in trouble again. I don't know if you saw their recent lawsuit about the lady who explained to them at Raglan Road that she had an extreme peanut allergy. And they're like, yeah, we got it. And then she ended up dying that night from the peanut allergy because they cooked it in peanut oil.
And you know why they can't? You know why they can't sue?
Yeah.
They can't sue.
Because they got a membership to Disney Plus.
Yeah. So when you sign for Disney Plus,
that's in the contract. You can't legally sue them.
You cannot legally sue them.
Isn't that crazy? That's
Yeah,
why
but
you
I mean,
gotta
it's-
read
but
the
it's-
fine print.
That's why you got to
if
give
they
Disney
act
some credit. Be
negligently,
smart.
though, you can certainly sue them for something. Like if they do something negligent like that, like
But
waivers.
apparently, they're going to
Whatever you-
they're fighting in court over
That's
it.
fine,
and they're
beginners,
saying
whatever
that,
you
Oh,
want
I'm
to do.
sure. I'm
I'm
sure.
like, what?
I'm sure that's
What?
craziness, though. Yeah, it's
Freaking Disney.
Yep, it's the court. They're a corporate giant, like all the other fucking corporate giants now, and they were. I used to really like going to Disney, and now it's so crazy crowded. You can't do anything, and now
I know I
that,
go on off days. I go when it's not, but I agree.
Yeah, I used to go in October, November was my favorite time because there was nobody there, like midweek, October, November. But now it's still kind of crowded then, and but same with Universal. Oh, by the bacteria, that's why they closed. I don't know if you guys remember River Country, the old Disney water
Yes.
park from way
Yeah.
back in the early 80s.
Yeah,
They closed that
dude.
because a couple kids died from brain amoebas there.
I do
Oh.
Pretty
remember
sure
River
it was
Country.
more than one. But it might have
Holy
been
crap.
one. Let's see.
Wow. The dark
know,
side
because
of
it's
Disney.
nuts.
I think a lot of times I don't think there was a lot of studies done back in those days, and
Dark side.
putting just big concrete pools with stagnant water and letting people jump in. It's
Not a good idea.
I mean,
Hey, Seth.
what's up, Seth? Yeah, and I think that maybe with that, I don't know.
That's
Michelle
all.
said,
River
yummy.
Country's all abandoned now.
Michelle.
But I actually,
Agreed. Ugh.
HHN has started. Yep, it started.
I really want to go. I can't wait to go actually this year because they have like so many houses of characters and themes that I love.
Are we
Oh,
all going to
yeah.
go together?
Hell yeah. I already said
Hopefully
that.
I'll get to go this year. I usually work so much around Halloween, and I'll still be
It's all
here.
the way.
I'm
It's
thinking
all
about,
through September, all through Halloween, and all the way through the first week of November.
I'm thinking about after the winter, maybe kicking it back up north. Who knows? I got my proposed property tax bill for next year up 230%.
Your property tax for where you're at now?
Yeah. I paid when I moved in. I paid my property tax bill was $1,079 a year, and now it's close to $4,000.
I figured. This house here is a little over 3,300 a year.
It's insane, man. Hernando County is just out of control. They're really levying some heavy new taxes. My insurance went up a little bit, about 50% too. So my monthly is going to go up about $300 from this.
Oh.
So you're just like fucking
It's hard, man. It's Florida's getting to the point where it's getting expensive, and it's on the way up. Whereas some of the other places, if I move out of here, I'm living in the woods or the mountains. I'm going to live in the middle of nowhere.
Don't blame you.
It's like I know my ex wants to move back up to like northern New England. She's in Burlington right now, and she loves it. Kid loves it. It's cold.
Oh yeah.
It's wicked cold, like negative shit.
Well, that's not good. Nobody wants to. Well, I hope it works out for you. Whatever.
Yeah, man. I don't know. We'll see. I just after getting that bill, it was kind of a kick in the balls there, for sure. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I was wondering if yours was going to be. I mean, because this one is.
Yeah, and what I think what happened was that the investors came in and paid such an exorbitant amount for houses that the market value went up, and they built all kinds of new businesses, so that raises the mill rate and everything freaking through the roof.
But I just wonder how much that's going to happen everywhere, though. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's just Florida. I'm sure there's plenty of states that are experiencing this too.
Some places it has to do. The tax rate ends up having to do with the amount of commercial to residential businesses and not appraisal. What do they call it? Assessment of your house.
Mm-hmm.
Which doesn't necessarily mean that's the value of your house, but it pretty much is Canada, David. It's only like an hour drive to Montreal from there.
Jeez. Yeah, it's all getting a little out of control, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, really out of control.
Yeah. For sure.
Well, I want you to start talking. Let's not talk about depressive shit anymore, like Daniel.
Yeah, let's start talking about happy stuff.
Let's talk about this thing that lives in the cave. It's called a what?
An olm? I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right, to be
An
quite
olm, that's
honest.
fine. An olm, that's cool, and it's called a human
Olm.
fish.
Yeah, well, it's really bizarre looking. It's when they first saw it, they actually called it like the baby dragon because it's only a cave dwelling. It's only inhabiting in caves. I'm gonna try and see if I can pull up the picture and like put it on the camera. It's
It kind of
really a
looks
cool
like
little
an
guy.
axolotl and
And
To me, it looked like a little
cartoon
alien
human.
penis, a little alien penis with arms.
yeah, basically it's
I
a
mean, that's kind of what it looked like.
It's a duck-billed axolotl.
it's basically
Yeah.
a cave dwelling salamander. In a way.
A salamander?
Salamander?
A salamander.
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 Mystery for it's been kind of a mystery for centuries regarding these, and the local people had often seen the olms after heavy rains washed up from the caves and believed that they were offspring of cave dragons. So here's really what I love about the story of these little guys is because the locals were seeing something, but they were twisting it to like some type of fun folklore, right? So they're like, we're seeing these amazing little creatures coming out of the cave and we can't really identify what it is and we don't know what it is. And then, could you imagine science being like, oh, come on, baby dragons, whatever. They're, here's the folklore shit again. And then the damn thing ends up being real. Let me see if I can get this picture up.
Like in Arkansas. Oh, yeah, look at that.
I'm trying to get as close as I can without that.
It does
odd
look like
reflection.
you're right, a duck-billed salamander.
Does it look like it has like a little duck bill? Look at his little legs.
It has arms and hands like Brittany. It's kind of weird.
Right? It looks like an axolotl and a platypus had a baby.
What
look at his hand, dude. Doesn't his hands?
I'm gonna zoom in more. He just
doesn't his hands?
He's been working so much about core. He needs to worry about his upper body strength.
doesn't his hands look like little cartoon hands that would be playing the guitar like on SpongeBob or something?
Yeah, or that somebody would draw on like a snake in a meme or something like that.
Dude.
Like he doesn't look real at all.
That's
like
crazy.
It's fascinating. A fascinating creature.
Aquatic amphibians are super cool. We have some really neat ones here in Florida.
Just so strange.
Yeah. Amphumas.
So this one is completely aquatic.
I love amphumas. Brittany's got those all over the place by her house.
They're so neat, man. I used to see them in the Everglades a lot.
I remember we grab them when you pick them up.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They're called sirens in the common name, dude. They're awesome.
I seen Ricky grab one and fucking thing bit him. I think too.
Here, look. So Brittany's looking at an axolotl.
No,
go ahead.
I was going to read it to you. So it lives its entire life in the caves completely. So they never see daylight. So the pigmentation of the skin obviously results to the pink or yellow or light white in color.
So you should put them in the sun.
No.
Bright light in the face, put them in the sun. Check.
So obviously because of this, they were then described as human fish because it had arms, and it's kind of like a weird tadpole human-like different weird thing, but had human skin color. So obviously
skin color.
So it was named
hanging out of
dragon
your pants.
Tie it around your ankle.
So basically it is, so when it's first, like within the first couple of days of its life, it actually does have eyes, but because it's in the cave, they will wither away shortly after they start to get out of the larva stage in their lifespan, which is
so they wither away.
Their eyes will wither away, is what it's written here. Mm-hmm. It does retain a small amount.
Their eyes leave their body.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So it says it does retain a small amount of photosensitivity, but why bother growing eyes at all if they're never going to be used in outside of subterranean hunting, like in any kind of subterranean hunting?
Out of having eyes at all.
So basically, it just uses natural sensing. So it's a cave dwelling salamander.
What's up, Ange?
Which is awesome.
And
so at the end of the day,
did anybody
think about their emotions? Maybe as a child they really liked their eyes and they didn't want them to go away as they got older.
They don't have a choice.
But I would, if that was me, I'd be like, wait, I want to look at stuff.
You're a larva. You're a larva. Well,
so cool. You have to lose those, my son.
The interesting thing about caves is
we'll call you Ray Charles.
I started diving into caves and like cave dwelling creatures and like trying to understand more about like animals from I know I'm going to pronounce this wrong because I used to pronounce it wrong, and then I found out the correct way of saying that the Pleistocene era. And so that was the last ice age era in our era. Okay. And obviously animals that were trying to escape the sheets of ice to like find more foliage and get away, they kept going south, going south, going south. And so what's interesting is that over the years through archaeology and discovery of sinkholes, they were discovering cave systems that they found animal fossils in, like prehistoric, or not prehistoric per se, but the last ice age fossils, saber-toothed cat, so on, in these cave systems. And they were able to scientifically determine, in theory, as a hypothesis, that it was possible that to get away from a lot of those frigid temperatures, they would use the cave systems to get to and from locations, because caves in general always hold the temperature of that region year round. It won't change. So even if they've got mass freezes above the ground, in the cave, it's going to stay a certain temperature year round, right? So they were utilizing the cave systems to travel through those harsh, wintry, long periods of time. I can't even say months. And so I've always been obsessed with the dire wolf. Obsessed. Like, I love them. I think that the lineage of dire wolves still exists. I don't care what anybody says, because I just don't see how something so beautiful and prominent just all of a sudden just went, yeah, we're just going to die, even though we're really good and we're massive, and not massive inside to the point where they couldn't survive, when we had massives and mastodons and mammoths, living all the way to like 4,000 years ago. Yeah, it's impossible.
So
anyway,
anything with an M is big?
Yes, so mastodon, mammoths, they're all like, I don't even, yeah. So what I found interesting was in Miami,
That's big.
there was a sinkhole,
Yeah.
and they were doing excavations in the sinkhole and discovered that there were cave systems at a period of time that created this cavity, this sinkhole, and within it they found fossils of different creatures, saber-toothed cats and dire wolves. They actually have fossils of dire wolves, and we never believed that they made it down that way.
Well, hold on. Hold on. I'll tell you why.
I mean,
aquifers and water carries things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Water carries, like a wolf dies and gets into the aquifer, states up or whatever. It's going to get sucked down that way, and it's just going to float as it slowly deteriorates, and they'll find fossils. Now, I'm not sure if Florida ever had caves that were dry that far down.
Well, no, they weren't like,
I don't think so, but I could be wrong.
Cave, not like super, super thick caves like up north, but it was enough that it would have been like,
no, I'm just saying, but it was probably had water into it
at some point, I'm sure. But I don't know at the time that they would have been around, like 10,000 years ago.
They have found cars and bicycles down in those things.
Oh, I'm sure.
Remains,
I'm sure.
Because they die and get sucked into whatever.
Well, that's the same thing like the La Brea tar pits. I mean, that, an animal gets in that, they get sucked in, they're die. Like they just die.
I remember going there. That was actually really cool.
Then that's one of the main places that we actually discovered a lot of our fossil animals, because they get stuck in it.
I have seen that movie. It was pretty cool.
Yes.
That's actually really well done.
One that was similar to that was The Descent. What's that now?
No. That scares me. The Descent. That one was good.
One of my favorite ones, Jeff.
That was good.
When they were stuck with that god down there that was trapped in that pyramid, that Sumerian god, shit was fucking awesome. Remember, he had like a dog head, and you see him in like the black lights walking. That was pretty sick. Anyways, so dire wolves, Brittany, have been found in Miami,
all over the state of Florida. All over the state of Florida, not just Miami. Like literally as far down as Miami. But their bones have been collected all over the entire state of Florida. All over.
I mean, that's awesome.
It's cool because
that's right, Michelle. Anubis, correct.
I love Anubis. For so long, they didn't believe that, these animals made it down like that. Like that's at least what we were taught years ago. Like they didn't make it down that way. And obviously science changes, to some. But what's really cool for Florida, we actually were the first, which I'm very excited about. We were the first to collect the largest mastodon ever discovered in North America, right here in Florida. And she was nicknamed Priscilla, and her skeleton was 11 feet tall. And you can actually go see her in Jacksonville. And I have. She's awesome. But it's like,
pretty awesome.
Yeah. And she's beautiful and massive. But yeah, we actually have and especially when it comes to like the face, best structure of the face. But it's interesting to me because these are all what you would think would be like Ice Age giants, right? And so I don't know. I always like to theorize and go off on that really crazy world, like where I'm like, yeah, science is dumb, and I'm gonna make up my own science because that's basically what science is. We theorize and we make hypothesis.
Sure.
That I'm like, I don't understand why we immediately just close the door when we hear things say like, oh, it doesn't exist anymore. It's not possible. It's not possible. It's not possible. But we don't ever listen to the locals. And like I just made a post about this today regarding like the giant ground sloth. This is not just seen in the Amazon. This is also seen up in Alaska and on the borders of Canada and the United States. And I know you guys are going to laugh at the name, but the Inuits actually called it the beaver eater because it would go down and attack the beaver homes and the beavers.
That's Daniel.
I knew one of you would like just like get a kick out of it. But it's true though, you know? And so what's really fascinating to me is like they talk about this creature, they talk about how it looks, and they literally describe like a medium-sized brown bear size of a giant ground sloth. And they've even said we don't know if it actually eats the beaver, like goes down and attacks them and eats the animal. We don't know if it does that.
Too easy.
I know it's too easy. I can't help it. It's what it targets. But if they literally are eating the flora that the beavers are collecting to make their homes, then they might just be going back after getting the food and the bark and the tree and the leaves and stuff back, just fighting back for its own foliage. I mean, who knows if it's, you know, it's their little ecosystem. Who knows what animal fights what animal, you know?
Scary.
It's interesting to me.
I heard.
I'm not sure if jaguars were or not, Michael. That's an interesting question.
You know, I heard that a good strategy was if you shave the beavers, they don't get eaten as much.
Here you go. That's not where I'm going with this. I'm just saying that there are stories of these animals. And in fact, here's another kicker for you. The locals down in the Amazon actually talked to field explorers that went down there to talk to the locals regarding the sightings of these, what they call the mapinguari, which is actually, I really believe, a giant sloth. They showed them the fresh skin of the recent killed one, which turned out to be completely like real sloth skin. It was tested, and they're like, oh, it must have come from a cave. It must have been fossilized. And the guy's like, no, we killed it. And they're like, it's impossible. They don't exist. So anyway, but what was interesting is that
impossible. Because
completely impossible.
It's impossible.
It's impossible. So what was really fascinating is that the locals there said, I will take you to their caves that they live in. They dig them themselves. Now, in this area, in this Amazon, where they actually dig these tunnels, these large mapinguaris, it is not anywhere near where the tunnels were found in Brazil, where they were like, hey, we've discovered that the giant ground sloth actually dug these. So there's no way that this little local community that really has no internet service, no contact, they're fighting this thing. They see it all the time in the woods and they hunt it for food. Literally is talking about how they dig caves and tunnel in underground when there's documented proof now halfway up South America of these tunnels that have been proved scientifically that were dug by the giant ground sloth. I find that extremely strange, very too similar in nature. And to me, I'm like, why are we not exploring this more? Why are we not looking into this? Why is it always poo-pooed because the locals say it and you're like, they just don't know. They're just dumb. No. Why can't it survive? Like, there's nobody here that can explain to me why can't it?
Real.
Somebody
told me one time that hog-nosed snakes don't exist in Florida. I thought it was that. Is that a fact?
Western hognose snakes don't exist in Florida, but eastern hognose and southern hognose do.
Yep. Aren't chameleons vegetarian? They're vegans.
They're bug eaters. Bug eaters only.
Daniel said,
but they're vegetarians, right?
Daniel said that they were.
Oh,
yeah, but remember Daniel said that he read on Google that chameleons are herbivores as well, so they're omnivores. And I said the only time a piece of any vegetation is ever going to get stuck in that animal's mouth is when his tongue shoots out and grabs a bug that's holding onto a leaf for dear life. Yeah.
And they probably spit it out.
But everybody wants to say that they can do this stuff. Some animals are just not geared for that. I mean, it's absolutely correct. They are completely insectivores, which is basically a protein diet, just like
obligate insectivores.
So let me ask you guys about the La Palma giant lizard. that
Okay.
that the scientists believe in La Palma off the Canary Islands, that they, but basically said it went extinct in the wild. And they have it labeled in, if you go to the endangered website, they have it critically endangered, possibly extinct, because there's been locals and photographic documentation, but the photographs, they said, do not hold enough merit. And I'm curious, because for me, I read into this, and they were talking about the possibility that there could still be small groups in small numbers living on the island. And that's why they are being seen, but it's in small population. And they think that basically because when predators were introduced to the island, like cats and rats and other types of animals that can cause infection and diseases, and then also like not necessarily deforestation, but destruction to their natural ecosystem habitat, caused their numbers to dwindle and possibly go extinct. But if you have locals all the way up till 2007 basically saying that they're seeing, now La Palma has other lizards, but it's a specific type. It's the giant lizard, right? Like they have like the knolls and
So I'm
stuff
reading.
like
I'm looking at it.
It looks like
Yeah.
a cross between an agamid and a monitor.
And they're really cool looking. Like they look friendly. Like they have such a cute face. But I don't understand why we're not trying to pursue it more so that we can protect it. Because if we think it's possibly endangered, critically endangered, which is really bad, the numbers are extremely low. I know that we have some in captivity, but as far as the wild goes, yes, functionally extinct, they're saying at this time. And so that's why they have it labeled as critically endangered, which means the numbers are extremely, extremely, extremely small if they do exist. And that's why they said possibly extinct. But I don't understand why we're not doing more in the field to go look for it, right? To sponsor, to protect it, if there is a nestled little group of these little guys out there trying to make it. And I just don't understand why we don't do more when we have these type of cases on a species like this. That's actually really cool and played a huge part in the ecosystem. Huh?
There's no like programs or nonprofit type situations or anybody out there trying to
there's
to
small
work with
groups. There's small groups and they get the information back. But as far as what I've been reading and researching into, the scientific, like as far as scientific go, when I say scientific, I mean like biologists and zoologists, they basically, I don't think for them it's worth it to, do more work into it in certain cases, to where it's like, well, we'll just find out, we need more evidence. So I think they're looking for a tangible body, for someone to grab a body. But the problem is, my big problem is, I don't want to kill something that's already critically endangered, or may not even, you got maybe 2 out there trying to make it. Why would I want to kill one for you to test and say, oh, hey, yeah, there's a body, it's there? Why wouldn't we want to protect it, tag it, help it breed, figure out a way to protect it on the island? Obviously, it's our
or just have assurance colonies. Have insurance colonies.
Yeah, I don't understand why, because honestly, here's my biggest beef with it. When people talk about ecosystems, we affected its ecosystem by bringing cats, bringing predatory animals into it, and we're disrupting its natural habitat. So it has nowhere to go to thrive and survive. So we're now affecting the natural ecosystem on La Palma by affecting a lizard that played a role in that ecosystem and literally getting rid of it because of our mistakes. So shouldn't we try to redo and fix our mistakes so that that lizard can survive and play its role in that ecosystem, so that La Palma, the island, continues to thrive? Because we don't know what happens when that animal goes extinct, right? How does that affect the chain of effects in the ecosystem on that island? What purpose did it hold there? We're never going to know if it's all dead and we don't try to figure that out. Do you guys see what I'm saying? Like, that's where my brain goes and I get very frustrated.
I get it.
Renee, Michelle Renee said functionally extinct ?
Yeah.
I'm just understand what you just elaborate on what you mean by that when you were saying that functionally extinct. So and I'll explain what I think she meant by that. Don't forget that you have the and I was looking at it again because I've heard about it before. There is a fruit and vegetable eating monitor, and it looks a lot like a water monitor. It's the Northern Sierra Madre Forest Monitor. So it's the Varanus by Tatawa, which is interesting. Tatawa. It's one of the monitor lizard species that eat fruit, and their diet consists of mainly of fruit and carrion from the pandan palm trees. So they basically live around the pandan palm trees, PANDA, pandan palm trees. They do have sometimes only insects, crustaceans, arachnids, and mussels, but mainly feed on the fruits from the pandan palm. So that's interesting because monitor lizards, unlike iguanas, are generally meat eaters. 100%.
Yep.
They're like a dinosaur. So that's interesting that we do have fruit eating monitor lizards, because when you think of the word monitor, you think of a TV screen, computer screen, or a big mean lizard. And most monitors we have, like the badass monitors. So I bet if you put this monitor same size in with a Croc monitor, he would probably get 8.
Yep.
That's just what I'm trying to say about all walks of life. So you need to think about that a little bit, folks. Okay. But life eats life, man. Life eats life. It's the way it goes. So
Right.
I've been noticing there was a trend for a while, Jeff, and I saw where these young people, these idiotic, moronic, stupid idiots, keeping black throat monitors, roughneck monitors, savanna monitors, feeding their animals salads with tofu for protein. Okay.
Oh,
You
my
follow
God.
these journeys.
Poor
You
animal.
follow these for the monitor lizards, right? So the monitor sometimes would pick the tofu out and not even eat it. Some of them would eat it. And these animals are slowly starved to death. So it'd be like us if someone gave us a piece of notepaper a day to eat and expect us to survive on it because they think that they can convert an animal that's clearly a carnivore, which is most of the population on the planet. So truthfully, when people tell you, "Oh, I don't eat meat like that because we're not meant to do that," that's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard. To not do it is by choice, and that's okay. If you decide that you want to become a vegan or you want to become a vegetarian, I think that that's cool. That's like somebody finding Jesus. That doesn't mean I want to find it. Okay, so you can do it, but when you try to back it up with bullshit science, the beginning man that walked this planet, and we're not talking about creationists, we're talking about the original Neanderthal bipedal hominid that walked this planet, was a meat eater. And I bet you anything, if I had to guess, common sense, he learned that from watching big animals take down grass consuming animals like mammoths that ate grass and saber tooths, right? Go ahead, bud.
Right.
And wolves. Wolves ate other animals and they were strong. Read the story of Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
Flavio turned me onto that, and I thought that was the neatest thing, man. Drinking the blood of their horses. They don't kill their horses. They just drink some of the blood so they can survive because there's so much nutrients in blood. So once in a while they would eat some stuff along the way, like some, seeds or whatever they could find, but they were mainly consuming blood until they could do a hunt and kill. And then they would strap it down and dry it and keep the meat under their saddles to tenderize it. And they would live on that. And so when they were attacking these other colonies that were like, I can imagine them now. They're like little knapsacks and little banana leaves wrapped around their feet with little flowers, carrying it, holding the children. And the gang is, come on, comes roaring in there. And they're all like, don't hurt me. I eat seeds. And they die. I mean, and I just gave a comical twist on that, but that's really what happened. Like he conquered that way because they knew their bodies were strong and they were just, it's just different. Like, and we're all meant to do that. And I really think even why great apes eat insects, quite a bit of them actually, or bird eggs or whatever else they pick up out there.
Yeah.
And we do have incisors. We still have them. We didn't get that to bite onions with you. I'm gonna tell you that right now. We have them. So it's interesting that that's so true, Michelle. And I think it's interesting because they understood that. So when someone tells you, like, I have a lot of friends that are pure vegan and I respect them for that. That's fine. It's a choice, but it's not a scientific choice. It's just a choice. And then I have friends that have tried it, and over years they started getting sick, becoming depressed, mentally tortured, anxiety, panic attacks, irregular PMS, male hormone disintegration. I mean, Daniel would probably die if he could only eat veggies. He would just die. He has to have garbage like McDonald's to function. So, and Missouri and yes, Dan. So as a matter of fact,
Croc chow.
if we took Missouri crocodile chow, if me and Jeff and Daniel would die because he needs cupcakes and pudding and cereal and Cheerios and sugar smacks and shit. Where Jeff and I, we could probably survive on croc chow for 6-7 months out in the wilderness because there's enough in that to give you nutrients in your body, and it's a dry form, so it just needs water.
To know.
I mean, you could.
Full of Croc chow.
Let me tell you something. A lot of people, I give my monitors Croc chow, and Justin and I were talking about this the other day. It was like, well, you should give it some ground turkey, cooked slightly with a little touch of salt. I'm going to shut the fuck up. Every now and then I'll throw them a rodent just so they can get some hair and shit and clean them out. But I mainly keep them on Croc chow diet. And I'm going to tell you what, their skin is just badass. The colors that come out from the vitamins packed in that particular Missouri Croc chow. And you want to talk about, they'll pick the biscuits over other shit when they start to really love it. The biscuit just makes them feel better. Like, what I'm trying to explain is it's not just that they feel full or it tastes good to them. They feel better on it. And yes, monitors have feelings. And yes, they want to feel good like we do when we get up. They want to be motivated. They want to be able to move around. And you can see the alertness in the animal. When you feed a large rat that's been frozen and it's like shit its pants, and then you soak it in water and then you give it to them, they kind of eat it and they just lay there the next day with their eyes half open, just digesting this hairy bag of wet, rotted rat meat. Or you give them a high compressed biscuit, which is full. Now it's not like they're like, oh, a high compressed biscuit with everything it needs in it. They're just different. By the next afternoon after you feed them, they're flying around ready to go to town again. It just gives them a better day. On it. Yeah. This is true. And I mean, there's people that'll argue with me with that, and it doesn't matter. There's been almost two to 3 decades now I've been doing this, and since that stuff's hit, it's been good. And alligators raised really good on it too. Case in point, you give them that stuff, and I have to minimize the feeding because they can overeat it and get. Then we have these big, fat, bloated alligators at the events, or you'll go to see somebody like, wow, they look like they ate light bulbs. They all have legs sticking out like this, and they can't move. So we reduce the amount, but you give them they grow fast. With the right water temperature and heat and that Croc chow, they grow to a beautiful animal. I mean, they really do. And so there's just something to that. So
oh my God.
when we eat meat, our bodies are just different. It's just, properly cooked red meat, some amounts of chicken, seafood, fish, everything that we were lied to about in the beginning, because they wanted us to eat potato chips and processed garbage. And they weren't telling you that cupcakes were causing heart attacks. They told you having a steak dinner was causing a heart attack. That's just not true. Yeah. That's just not true. Your body, it's just not true. So it's just interesting that there's so much of that going on, Brittany. And so it's the vegetarian thing and trying to turn a carnivorous animals where I started into a vegetarian is bullshit.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
So dogs, cats, meat-eating reptiles, meat-eating birds. I couldn't do it to Hootie. He would die.
Yeah. Remember the girl tried to turn a tofu stick into a vegan?
Yes.
Poor thing looked like it was ready to die.
I mean, you can't compare like our anatomy and biology to an animal's. No, I know, but I'm just saying to an animal. It doesn't matter if you want to go vegan, right? Fine. But an animal has to live a certain way and eat a certain diet to survive. It's what it's been built to do. You cannot change that on that animal. So as much as you want to make your animal a vegan with you, you're going to kill it slowly, and that's not fair to the animal.
And here's where I get them.
Make your own decision.
That's the vegan fennec that the girl tried to keep on a vegan diet.
Oh, God. See, bro, that just
died, by the way.
That just looks horrible to me. But
oh my God, that makes me so sad. I love those foxes.
Listen, it's dead already, so shed a tear later. Don't get into it right now. Listen,
I'm just saying that stupidity. It's just ridiculous.
That's the same people that go, animals need a choice. You're making them eat lettuce. It's not their choice. Because if you put that dog food down for them or a meat diet down for that fox, or you give it some lettuce with a little touch of carrot, what do you think it's going to eat? Because I'm sorry, man. To me, those vegetables are just trash. You will die. So if you put me in the woods, give me 20 pounds of meat. I'll eat it rotted before I'm going to survive on a couple of heads of romaine. You'll die. You'll die. You can't live on romaine and carrots. You'll die. You'll 100% die. And you can add a potato in there and you may get 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
But then you start to look like the crypt keeper. You're like, yeah, I do yoga, right? You got these little skinny muscles and the skin moves off of you. And you're like, oh, how old are you, sir? He's like, I'm 27. I've been practicing it. He looks all sunk in. His eyeballs are sunk in because he's eating plants. And I saw this really cool study out of Germany where they took toddlers and offered them cooked, like, slightly cooked enough, edible, thin slices of red meat, right? And then they tried to give them vegetables. without even knowing the difference between vegetables and meat. When they hand them the vegetables, they were like this, putting their face, and they would dry heave. When they give the babies the little piece of steak, they were just couldn't get enough of it.
Little carnivore.
So you're talking about You're talking about a child's body knows what it's supposed to do, right? So it knows what it's supposed to do. And they were saying that because plants are generally toxic, and we're not supposed to be sticking them in our mouth. So much to that. So that behavior was cool because it was like 20 kids, and not one of them chose the veggies over the red meat. And it wasn't like they were older, where they're like, "Oh, red meat killed my daddy, and I'm 13, and I'm going to be like my mom." They were little babies that couldn't even speak yet, and they were offered food. And you can see these little babies that look like Bimini, little balls of joy, and they have this little piece of meat, just chewing it up, dude. Like, I just love it, man.
A piece of bacon. It's all over.
Listen, Bimini had salmon and steak tonight. She was eating it up in the house tonight.
You're right, Michelle. That's why goats have so many stomachs. A lot of that's interesting with pure vegetarian animals.
Cows have a rumen. They have a forestomach and a main stomach. And
for vegetation, she's totally right.
Break down a lot of the heavy fibrous things that they eat, like alfalfa and some of the other legumes.
And do you know even alligators, they have a really hard time breaking down plant matter. They have an amazing acid. I remember when Flavio was doing a necropsy one time, and he cut into this alligator's hand. And he's like, "You guys have to hold the hose here because I have to rinse my hand every time it comes out. It's starting to eat my skin off. It'll start to digest my hand."
Oh my
god! So he would reach in. He would come out with like a handful of lead balls, and then they would rinse his hand off, and he'd put it down. He'd reach in again, another handful of lead balls, and they kept rinsing his hand because they were shooting pigs with buckshot, lead trump buckshot, and then feeding the alligators to pigs at the farm. Well, they weren't. If they were to shut them clean in the head or whatever, right? They were just buckshotting them, and then so they got lead poisoning. These big, beautiful alligators, 12-foot, 13-foot alligators, were dying. I have the photos of Flavio going into it in the video of when we went there. This alligator had to be taken out of that pond with a fucking tractor crane with the rope on it to lift it up. It was so freaking big. And because it's because they were feeding it that, because they just know. The same with nutria. When they were feeding nutria to all the farm gators around here, when they'd shoot them, they didn't realize that the lead poisoning was making them sterile and their teeth would fall out and they just wouldn't live long. I mean, they tolerate lead poisoning, in my opinion. Actually, I think it's a fact, better than humans do. I can tell you that. But over time, it kills them. Yeah. One of the things I remember is the stomach acid destroying his hand.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And he's like, dude, my hand will digest in here. So
when I used to contract for Fish and Wildlife, and we'd go to the park, the Everglades National Park, they made us use steel shot if we were going to bring any guns in there. No lead shot, all steel.
I believe that. When they don't, because they don't want it
leaches into the ground, and it's just not good for anybody.
We didn't care about that the 50s, 60s, and 70s. The 80s.
They practically fed kids lead.
We shot everything.
Yeah, gasoline. You just gotta imagine had lead in it.
You've got to imagine how beautiful Florida was pre-1950s,
before 1940s.
Yeah,
it was a swamp.
There was huge, beautiful American crocodiles down there everywhere. I know people go, "Ew, those are gross," and those are usually transit cocksuckers here in Florida that move here from other states. But crocodiles are a beautiful animal. I love seeing alligators and manatee and otters and stuff. That's in my blood. I'm a Floridian, and I'm a born and raised Floridian, and I love Florida. I know that some people in here talk shit about it, but it's a great country. It's you fucking idiots that keep coming down here and transplanting to our state and ruining everything is what it is. Oh, well, we want to build condos. Get the fuck out of here and just go. We have enough. We most of us true Florida people, we never want to leave Florida. If you're true Floridian, you love what the state offers. And even when you move here at a young age, you love the state. I'm not saying that mountains aren't pretty, but I love Florida, and we're just ruining it by building all these bullshit on everything and ruining the beautiful. So now when people think of Florida, they think of tennis courts, swimming pools, scantily naked women, and concrete jungle, and it's just that's not what we were.
You had
if you go back to the naked
women.
I'm sure I did.
It's very.
You go to New York for that.
Now.
It's terrible. It's just this. It's the transplants. They just keep transplanting down here. It's like they're like fucking hair plugs. They just keep plugging them in and making a new thing for them. And I'm not. Yeah, I want you to come to Florida. If you want to move to Florida, but respect it, man. Find a place.
Don't try and change it to what you left.
It's already built, right? If you know that you're
That's what
coming
I
from an
say.
area that doesn't have alligators and doesn't really have snakes and you're scared of palmetto bugs, don't come to Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, palmetto bugs are something you got to get used to. I have,
And lizards.
dude, I had to
And
pour
frogs.
boiling water down my bathroom drain because I had baby palmetto bugs coming up every day.
Yep, that happens, man. I mean,
Yep.
in rainy season we always get that, but don't come to
Yep.
Florida, man. Don't be a transplant and come here. And here's another law I can't stand, and I don't know if it's in other states, but it's in Florida. And today it almost killed me because people are fucking dumb and they don't understand that there's other cars behind them. There's cars next to them. So this law now, and I blame the cops for this one, okay? Because they should be smart and move it over. If you see a car or an emergency vehicle or a police car on the side of the shoulder on the highway, you have to get over or slow down to 25 miles an hour.
Mhm.
On an interstate with a speed limit of 70 and the average mileage is 80 miles an hour. So today, a cop's in the middle lane. He pulls somebody over on the left lane, and there were cars in the passing lane going quick, and it was full. So this idiot in a fucking Kia Soul decides to slam his brakes on to get down to 25 miles an hour from however fast he was going. So cars behind him didn't have time to move, and you can't run into this car. So I was in the middle lane, and cars were going off into the grass around the cop that pulled everybody over, right?
Oh my
I
God.
managed to get over to the far right lane before someone come up, and I got the Challenger and slowed it down and pulled it to the, that's a heavy car, and I got it to the stop and pulled it down. But I saw cars going everywhere because this one fucking nerd goes, "Oh gosh," the plate wasn't a
People
Florida
drive
plate. I
like
don't know where they were
like
from. But
idiots here. They really do.
yeah, but they're not us. We know what they don't. And why are the cops not pulling people over on the right? Why don't they keep them going or say, "Nope, keep moving"? Don't
Oh,
stop.
Yeah, why
him
was
there.
he pulling him over on the left? That's really crazy.
Because he was in that
left,
lane.
Left is
I
a
don't
fast
know.
lane.
Everybody should be taught in driver school here. When you pull
Theoretically.
over on a highway, you should go to the right side of the shoulder always, because the fastest lane is always on the left.
Oh my
So now you
God.
have cars flying in, and yes, there's a high cable guardrail there. So other than that, people would have flown into oncoming traffic because one person did this.
Yeah.
And then everybody's trying to get out of the way and causing everybody else to get fucked up. So I was just in,
Cops
spacecraft
have
mode, dude.
speakers in their vehicles. So he literally
See,
could have went
I
over the
think-
comm and just said, "Please go to the right lane or the right
No,
shoulder."
this
Like
law-
Yeah,
he should have moved them to the right.
No, this law of slowing down to 25 miles an hour to if you see a car and you can't get over is stupid. Who fucking thought of that? How do you
Well, if I
have
see a
traffic
car and I
steady going?
can't get over, I just go.
I just blast by them, and I've been pulled
Yeah,
over for
I
it.
do the same thing, man.
And they pulled me over, and I go, "What'd you want me to do?" I said, "What'd you want me to do?" There were people next to me. Am I supposed to run them off the road?
I'm not going to cause
And I said,
another
"You want me to
accident.
slam my brakes on to 25 miles an hour and cause a 6-7 car pileup because I have cars behind me in this fast lane? Would you want me to do?" And I got pulled over for that. Not today, but I've been pulled over for it. So I just
Yeah.
think they didn't go, "Hey, when they're making that law, hi, I'm a commissioner. After I'm done sniffing coke off of a prostitute's body and go home and kiss my wife goodnight, I'm going to make a stupid law that everybody has to slow down because we're going to save our officers." But you're not thinking about the families and people, because one brake job like that can
Yeah.
affect 25, 30 cars. It's this big chain domino reaction. It was
Well,
the stupidest thing to do. Stupid.
think
It doesn't
about the
matter if you're hit
people-
at 25 or 80, you're dead.
But
Yeah,
also
people
think
don't
about the
pay
people that
attention to
aren't.
laws anyway. It's ridiculous. That guy did.
Well, no, but think about the people that aren't paying attention and they're on their phone still when they're supposed to be hands free. That aren't paying attention, looking down at their phone, looking down. It
I
takes
see that
those
all the
idiots
time.
too. What
Yep,
I'm saying is like Troy's saying, what could be like a 2-car pileup because somebody decided to slam on their brakes now has become a 25 because multiple people are on their phones.
Yeah,
So-
And
I'm not,
besides that, right? And you have semis that are coming up at 80, and semis cannot slow
And they
down
can't go
to
to
25 miles an
No.
hour if they're in the passing lane. It's not happening. You're going to
I-
kill everybody involved.
I'm not
Nope.
saying that anybody should do this, but when I see somebody texting and starting to drift in and out of their lane, since they're not looking, I like to pull right up next to them and just wait, and then lay on my horn.
And I looked here, and
Freak the
that's
fuck out.
by the way, I'm looking now. She said she hates Florida again, but as I'm looking here, that's actually common practice in almost every state now in the United States. You have to get over for them now. It's an emergency service vehicle law.
I mean, I
So it's
do
everywhere
I
you go.
I do hear what Michelle is saying when it comes to the safety of the EMTs and the people working on the side of the road. But in this particular case, Michelle, it's really crazy that they literally did it on the left side. You can't ask a passing semi who's driving in the fast lane to slow down 25. That's like all unheard of. But I do agree with creating a law to slow down or do something or figure out a way to help make sure that anybody that's helping in a wreck is taken care of. Like if it's a situation, but if that's just a cop just pulling somebody over,
Well, hold on a
that's
second.
not even an EMT.
Well, let me hold on a second. I'll go by numbers. A lot less EMT and firemen die than the general public because of a stupid fucking law. And when the EMTs out there and the police, if you ever notice some of the wrecks, they block the road back at least a half a mile. They've got a car pulled up with flashing lights to get people to slow down. But when you do it immediately and you've got someone pulled over and there's no accident and you've got traffic moving at 80 miles an hour and you have a tractor trailer doing 70 and you decide to slam your brakes on, that tractor trailer is going to fucking kill you. 100%. Doesn't matter, and everybody been on. And yes, the left was fucked up. But it doesn't matter, even if it's on the left.
He's right.
If it's an accident, the officers start blocking way back for the EMT and the fire department. And I think that's a great idea. And yes, they risk their lives when they go out there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, if they don't block it off.
But that law that's created, you know, when I'm EMS or I'm a firefighter or cop, I know I take my life into my hands when I go out. That's my job. I did that as a 1%er. Nobody made me be a 1%er. I knew I could have died doing it, but I did it because I loved what I did. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But when you make a law to make people run down and slow down like that fast with fucking morons that aren't even supposed to be here driving anyways, let's just think about that. And you have a guy driving a truck, he's going to kill 10 families possibly because he's going to want to try to stop and he's going to jackknife and he's going to flip onto other cars. There's going to be a problem. I don't see that. I don't see how it works. I see it being idiotic. I don't see how it works. You just keep moving. You don't go off the side of the road. The chances of you going off the side of the road, veering over and hitting them is a lot less than the chances of you going fast past it. Can it happen? Yes, it can. It can happen.
If you're rubbernecking to look and see what it was.
Somebody didn't get over. Or you're drunk. Or you're drunk.
Mm-hmm.
But that can happen anyway. So the fact that now you're making an extra law that people are now going to be scared, like, honey, I can't slow down to 25. There's a semi behind me. Well, you got to do it. It's the law. Because you've got these Johnny Law people. That's the law, darling. Do it. Oh, my God.
Yeah, those are the same people who drive with their hazards on when it's raining.
Yep. They put the brakes on, and here's this semi. Oh, my God, I can't stop this rig. He's carrying 100,000 pounds on there or more.
Yep.
Oh, it's like trying to stop on a motorcycle when you got 2 up instead of 1. It's all the difference in the world. You need like an extra 5 or 6 feet to stop your bike.
Yeah, and if you park on the side, exactly. You're so right, Jeff, and that's what I mean. And you know what? You park closer, park on the grass. You're right. A lot of times, Daniel, you have to use common sense because if you're driving a car for hours on end and you pull over in dry grass, you're going to start a fire and you're generally burn the place up. But the shoulders are made wide enough for you to get over and get away from the car.
Yep.
Which means if they got off on the left side, though, like if they actually got off on the left shoulder, right towards the grass, then the driver actually got out on the left, which means he wasn't even getting out where he had a higher chance of being hit by a lane or a vehicle because they had the grass intersections or the intermediate. So that means that the driver of the cop car and the driver of the car that he pulled over were not in harm's way whatsoever. The only issue you would have if you take away the slow down rule on that regard is a rubbernecker slowing down and causing a problem to figure out what the heck's going on. Then you're going to have swerving of people trying to get around that person.
Yeah.
I know, but I'm saying they'd still be going like from 80 maybe to like 60. Do you know what I mean? Like they'd be slowing down from like 80 to maybe 65. You know how many times?
Let me tell you how stupid people are. And they're never from Florida. Florida drivers will run you the fuck over. I get mad when you get in my lane, and usually it's some stupid fuck or a kid that shouldn't be out there yet. But I'll tell you this. You'll be stuck in traffic for a good 20, 30 minutes because I have to commute to Orlando quite a bit. All of a sudden, you'll get up to this area and cars start taking off. And you look over on the other traffic, on the westbound traffic, right, if you're going to Orlando. And it's somebody who's broke down on the side of the road because they're out of gas on their phone. And everybody's got to stop and look at it. Yep. And when you brake like that, you send it all the way down the line and you start building loads in traffic because mainly it's just fucking stupid people.
How often is there traffic jam and then there's all of a sudden no traffic? No reason.
And seriously though, Michelle, on the major interstates, that's very uncommon unless you're stuck on a bridge somewhere. So I get it in town. I get it in town. If you're doing 45, 50 miles an hour and you're in the city and Michelle's on the side of the road helping a family or whatever, you can slow down to 25 and kind of gradually go around or kind of work around that situation. But in a 4-lane highway doing 80 miles an hour and you're on the left side and the passing zone and you have cars up your ass wanting to go 100, there's no way. You just kill families. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, should they do that inside when you're not when you're there? If there's not a shoulder, absolutely. But on the interstate, it doesn't make sense. That's like putting a speed limit on the Autobahn. You're just going to kill somebody because they're going to go out there and drive their car at 45 to sightsee. and cars are doing 130, 140 miles an hour, the reaction time is different than when you're both going 100.
First of all, it's the person's fault. If they see that there is a paramedic there, like if they see an ambulance at a scene and you don't slow down, and I don't mean just on an intersection, but I mean anywhere, and you're just naturally don't slow down because you're like, well, shit, I don't know if they're going to be wheeling somebody to the back of the ambulance, and they don't have proper people blocking it for those people.
Correct.
And I feel bad for the workers that are there to help save someone's life, because they're now in jeopardy of getting hit because they don't have any protection to protect them. Like, where are the laws in place for them to say, listen, if you see lights, it doesn't matter. You need to slow down, like on back roads or on side roads. Like, I had an ambulance the other day on where I live because some idiot, I have 30 miles an hour around where, Troy, you know where I live, 30 miles an hour in here. That's it. And we yell at people all the time because we get these drag racing little kids that come through here. I have elderly that walk. They walk their dogs. We have animals galore, tortoises, everything here, birds, cranes, all of it. And we all go really slow. Somebody was doing their drag racing, plowed through the neighbor's fence, through his yard, and came out the other side and obliterated everything. We had 2 ambulances there because I was like, oh my God, did they hit a person? Like, I was freaking out because this idiot decided to take the curve super fast and lost control of his little 4-door Honda. And I've got an ambulance out there. I got 2 ambulances. I've got 2 police officers. And I'm sitting there going, for what? Because you decided to be a punk? And guess what? While the 2 ambulances are out there and the 2 police officers are out there evaluating and trying to get the tow truck to come, another a-hole comes flying by with the ambulance in the road on the same freaking road at 30 miles an hour.
Nobody cares.
I was blown away. I'm like, slow the freak down. Are you kidding me? They're working.
Yeah, but that's never going to happen. That's where
people are ridiculous.
That's where you have to just go. It's never going to happen. That's just the way they are. That's just the way it is.
Insane. If my kid had been out there, I can't tell you what I would have done.
It is, right? It is, Michelle. It's totally different out there. It puts, if we were all driving down to go to one of the theme parks, it puts all of us together in jeopardy. Not only the EMT or police officers on the side of the road, but everybody involved that's even innocent, that's not even there. It just doesn't even make sense to me. It doesn't make sense. Now we're an hour
for the highway. For the highway, it's a little crazy. I think they need to figure out a different protective law to help protect those that are pulling people off the side of the road.
Yeah, just like if you're in the fast lane and you pull over on the right side, it's at your own risk. We're at 1 hour and 18 minutes in, and we've carried the show a little bit. And I appreciate everybody coming out.
That's
I'm going to wrap
Michelle.
it up. We're going to go. Yep.
She said I had to dive into my car to be being hit.
Well, because she worked in the EMT business, man. I mean, she's probably seen a lot of dumb shit out there, and she spent some time on the road.
Yeah, first responders get hit all the time.
I know, it's sad. That's not right. But they do it because they love it and they know the risks involved. So I'm glad she was smart enough to jump through the car.
Kudos
I know.
to Michelle for that one.
I see somebody who's hurt on the side of the road. I always do. Try to stop and render aid.
I was coming through Sanford. I'll end on this. I was coming through Sanford one time, and this little black kid got hit on his bicycle. And all I remember seeing was this kid going by me like a boomerang in the air. He was spinning when he went by my car. He didn't die. I don't know what the fuck, but he didn't die. So the guy kept going. It was a truck. And I pulled over on the side of the road. And, I was running to the clubhouse, and I pulled over. I'm like, dude, are you alive? And he sat up. He's like, I said, we need to call your parents. What are you doing? He's like, I was walking home. But he got hit. It hit him so hard. He just spun like this, right? It was weird. He looked like a boomerang, man. Like he was terrible.
Oh, I've seen pedestrians hit. I see them in the hospital all the time. It's scary as shit.
Well, congrats on that, Michelle. Yeah, right? So you probably see a lot of crazy shit. So anyways.
That's insane.
So anyways, thanks for coming out to the Motley Croc Show. We appreciate everybody coming out there. And like I said, we're going to be out there Friday, the 13th of September. And we're going to be at I'm going to run it to you one more time. Then I'll give that to you so you know exactly what we're talking about, because I want everybody to come out if they can. It's going to be at the Vintage Tattoo Shop, and it will be at 10375 Orangewood Boulevard in Orlando. And we're going to be there most of the day. We'll probably get there from 2 o'clock, 2 to 10.
Do we get to pick Dan's new tattoo?
That would be great. We'll get Dan a new tattoo. We do. Yep. I just think I know what it is too. But we'll talk about that, Jeff. So if you guys can get out there and come check us out to the Vintage Tattoo, man, Friday the 13th. I'll post some stuff for it, and come out and see us and say what's up. I'll bring some animals. We'll catch up with you guys, and we'll chat.
Thanks, Seth. Back at you, man.
We appreciate it. We love you too, brother. Seth, I need to catch up with you soon, man. It'd be good to see you. But anyways, We appreciate y'all, guys. Y'all have a good night. Thank you for coming to the Motley Croc Show.